This video is brought to you by Grandeur Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
We are on something hard now. I think that might be the control arm. Let's go investigate. Now this is a pretty steep approach. I'm a little worried we're not going to have the clearance. Oh!
So in today's video, it's gonna sound
Hey everybody, welcome to the amazing Colorado Rocky Mountains. We're at over 10,000 feet above sea level, and in today's video we're taking the new Honda Passport Trail Sport to go find a ghost town and find out, is this thing Rocky Mountain worthy? Rocky Mountain High, Colorado, Colorado.
So there's a few characters you might see on the shoot.
There's Gavin. Gavin, wave! Wave!
And then of course you got Mary the troublemaker behind the camera.
Sup? What's up? So we are here in Montezuma, Colorado, and we actually have to go find the ghost town, which means driving up this rough and rugged road, and then we'll show you a town made of ghosts. That's not what it is at all. So the problem with these mics is if you put them on your shoulder, on your collar, you look like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? I just see chest hair coming out here.
V-neck. That deep V.
The deep V.
Oh no, tell me you have a...
This new Honda Passport is one of the most highly anticipated cars of the year. I've been so excited to get my hands on this thing and take it off-road. No, I thought about doing like a controlled course, and I said, nah, we gotta see what this thing can do in the rugged Colorado Rockies. So that's what we're up to today. Now this vehicle appears to have some real off-road hardware. It's got actual skid plates and rock rails on a Honda, plus it's got the iVTM4 with the torque vectoring rear diff, and it's got skid plates underneath, so I think we find the limit of this thing and try to go find a ghost town, see what you can do.
What's a torque vectoring diff?
Torque vectoring is something out of a Marvel movie.
Really?
No. Have you seen Incredibles 2?
I've seen Incredibles 2. That was good.
Good.
I'm gonna say something that I won't put in the edit, but the...
Okay. Oh my God. This trail that we're on, hopefully, is open to where I need it to go, because we are up here in the high country of Colorado. Like I said, the car is saying 10,500 feet above sea level, and there's still quite a bit of snow out here. It is the end of June, but we may hit some. And so far this trail is been pretty good for the Passport. Just got a couple of wheels in the air around that switchback. Not a lot of articulation out of this independent suspension. And the thing that's got me a little spooked about today, we only have 8.3 inches of ground clearance. Now we have a real tire, we've got skid plates, we've got, you know, some cool looking trim, which may or may not help us off-road today, but 8.3 inches isn't that many inches. That sounds pretty bad. Good thing Mary wasn't here to hear that. Now this is really cool. We are above the town of Montezuma, and this is an old mining site called Saints John with an S. It's kind of a weird name. Now this was founded in the mid to late 1860s, and other prospectors followed, including John Cullum, who discovered the Saints John lode. I think that's not that. No, but really, this is actually a pretty interesting spot. So in 1870, they had a town census, and this mine had a population of 71 people, and there are a couple little cabins still around the site that are occupied by people that live here. And then by the 1920s, you know, the ore ran out, and then the mine shut down. But you can kind of come up here, explore. Don't, for the love of goodness, don't go in any mine shafts, because they're full of really toxic poisonous, like arsenic they actually use to extract the minerals from the ore. That's right, arsenic. So a lot of these old mine shafts are very, very toxic, full of arsenic and other terrible chemicals that want to kill you as fast as possible. But you can come and check out this mine site, and it's very cool. So you got your pickaxe, and then contrary to popular belief, it's all on the hips.
Oh no. That's horrible.
They had those big booties back then.
That's horrible.
So Mary's now going to give you the tour of the Saints John mining site.
So this is St. John Mine, and this here, as you can see, is a bunch of wood, and it used to not look like that. It used to be full wood.
So really, this is just a crappy place. It's just a broken down place to come and look.
It's actually a junkyard.
Back in my day, Golden Mensa. Back in my day, you could pick up a golden nugget for $1 and a raspberry.
Actually, I couldn't tell you what this used to be. Maybe like, was it a shaft?
I mean, I think it... Please don't say shaft.
Sorry. Earlier today, we were talking about the wilderness, and Gavin was telling us how his greatest fear is mountain lions. And Tommy was like, yeah, cool. Gavin, can you go up alone on the trail and wait for us?
Go as far as you can. We want that long shot.
Try not to make a lot of sounds. There's mountain lions out there.
So up until this point, you could do this section of trail with like a normal CRV or even a RAV4 or something pretty mild. However, from here on out, it gets a little bit more gnarly. So we're gonna start using some of the features in this Trail Sport Passport. So I've got this drive mode selector here outlined in orange, and I'm going to select the new trail mode. That should dial the throttle programming, the traction control programming into something more suited for dirt road use. And then we've got these guys right here. Now this is our new Trail Watch camera. And what's cool is we have front angles, but we can also see a few different angles as well, like what our front tires are doing. And I think that's going to be pretty helpful on this section of trail. Now as we approach the water crossing here, let's talk about tires. I'm so glad that Honda spec'd this thing with a better tire. So this is a General Grabber AT. It's actually pretty aggressive for a crossover, and hopefully it gives us the traction we need going through our little river here. Now this is a pretty steep approach. I'm a little worried we're not going to have the clearance, but I'm going to do the best I can to get into this river without dragging bottom. Now we've got a 23-degree approach angle, which is up from about 21 on the old Honda Passport. I got this pretty big rock here. Gonna take it nice and slow on that approach. Nice work, Honda. Okay, you can hear those kind of pebbles in the water. All right, we're officially in the deep stuff now, everybody. Now the adventure begins. Cue Indiana Jones music. Thanks, Mary. You're always my go-to music person. And just like that, we're through that little water crossing, and now we start to climb. 10,837 feet on the car. It's only going up from here. We've seen, rather poorly, the main mining area here at St. John, but I want to see if we can get to the old miner's cabin above tree line near the top of the mountain. It's a really cool spot. I don't know if we're going to do it. Let's see if the Passport has the chops for it. If you're looking for a Honda Passport and you're planning on keeping it in the long run, check out Grainger Warranty using the link below. Grainger offers extended factory back warranties for all sorts of vehicles. Check them out using the link below. So things are starting to get interesting here. We've got this off-camber turn with some rocks that are definitely taller than 8 inches. So we're gonna have to kind of have some careful line placement here to get up this narrow ravine. I don't want to take it with too much speed because we just don't want to start slapping the underside of this car that much, but I think if we take it with some strategy, we'll be good. Now look, one of the things that I typically don't like about off-roading crossovers is the lack of a low range, because you just don't have the same levels of control that you do in a more conventional off-roader. However, with this big old 285 horsepower V6 and this conventional automatic, the first gear seems low enough that we're kind of able to fake it a little bit, and the control for just your kind of standard run-of-the-mill crossover feels excellent. And I have to say, it's not going to look like anything on camera, but these are some good sized rocks that certainly I wouldn't take a normal Passport on. And we are crawling up it in this Trail Sport so far with not a lot of difficulty. I had Mary and Gavin jump out thinking that this was going to be a real challenge for this car, and we're getting some tire slippage for sure, but just a little bit of forward momentum. Good work, little Passport. I'm in a little bit of a dilemma here. Now we've come across a sizable rock on the trail. It's going to look like a pebble on camera. It's a pretty good sized rock here. Clearly some people have been scraping on it. Now the problem is I don't have the room to go to the right of it, and I can't go to the left of it because then it's going to razor blade the underside of the Passport. So I'm going to put my wheels on it, and we might end up trying these bad boys. These guys down here are the rocker protection that Honda has incorporated in this new Passport. And the idea is it keeps the rock out of the door or the floor. Let's see if it actually works. All right, putting my wheel right on top of that big pointy rock. Let's see if we end up using that little rail. We'll take it nice and slow. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a bad sound. But that was a perfect demonstration of why that panel is there, right? Especially in a vehicle with not a lot of ground clearance. You don't want to have to end up replacing expensive trim or sheet metal. And let's see if we use that rock rail like it's meant to be used. Okay. Well, it actually looks like it held up really well. Now, my one complaint, I wish it came out a little bit and then tucked up to protect the door sill a little bit here. It's kind of strictly for underneath the car, but it's still better than not having it. A pretty real trail here now, actually. We got some dirt bikers, and this, which terrified the crud out of me. This is never what you want to see off-road. There's a little dribble of something underneath your car, but it's okay if that little dribble is ahead of the car too, because then you know it's not you. So we're doing good, but that guy flat out said you're not making it much farther beyond this. So let's see if we can either prove him right or wrong. So things have been going okay. The trail's getting steeper with these berms that are going up and down. And it means that we are really starting to find the limits of the ground clearance. And 8.3 inches on this vehicle just isn't enough. We don't have the breakover angle here. So we've got this next berm, which is probably gonna look pretty mild on camera, and it's not that crazy. But I think that this may be the end of the trail for us. Let's see if we scrape. Taking it nice and easy. Okay, we are on something hard now. I think that might be the control arm. Let's go investigate. Oh, this is the end of the line, folks. I don't think we're gonna clear this hump without really scraping the heck out of the control arm and the exhaust. And it's not my car to scrape, so we're gonna have to call it here and make our way back down the mountain.
Ever since Gavin mentioned mountain lions, I've been like super aware of sounds in the forest.
So we didn't make it to my little logging cabin above tree line. We got pretty close, but with these little whoops, we just ran out of breakover angle. And that is the big drawback with this Passport. I think that the tires are providing very impressive grip. This IVTM4 system is doing a great job of distributing torque where it needs to go, left to right. That new rear diff is really impressive in what it can do, especially when you're in trail mode. I think that even the gearing with this 10-speed automatic is much better than I've experienced with pretty much any other crossover. You know, we're crawling up here at 11,000 feet above sea level, and you know, we're not having any power issues, we're not getting any overheating messages, we're not burning out that torque converter, so that's all good. It just needs more ground clearance, and I think if this was my Passport, I'd probably just jam it up past that berm there and just keep on flying up. We tried a couple different angles on it. We kept getting hung up on that rock in the center. These Colorado trails, they look wide on camera, but there's not a lot of options in terms of angles. So you're kind of limited to some of the lines here. But look, if it was my Passport, I'd bash up that, screw the exhaust, and maybe even the control arm, see how hard we can go. But this is Honda's car. There's other journalists waiting for it, so I can't break it. Now, how does this compare to its competition? Now, of course, the comparison that people have been making a lot online is 4Runner. And 4Runner is an interesting animal, right? Because it seems like a sort of similar shape on paper. It's got fairly similar power on paper, but it's a very different four-wheel drive system. So this is a transverse mounted V6, right? The 4Runner is an inline four-cylinder turbo longitudinal with a conventional transfer case. This car doesn't have a conventional transfer case. And I think that the 4Runner is more capable than this, even in kind of the lower trim levels. It just has more clearance, and you've got a little bit more control with that low range, and you've just got more confidence that it can take the beatings on the trail. And I think maybe if I live with this Passport for a little bit and really start grinding it, and I trust that those steel skid plates are going to hold up, I'd feel a lot better with it. But as it sits on this trail, there's just a lot of instances where we're bottoming out on things we shouldn't be bottoming out on. So I don't really have the confidence in it to start pushing it that hard. It also competes with vehicles like the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport and the Nissan Murano, and I have no doubt that this can go places that those vehicles would never even dream about going, right? But compared to like a Grand Cherokee, which is also kind of in this class, or a 4Runner, which you could argue is also sort of in this class, this doesn't have that level of confidence out on the trail. Now, trust me, from what I've seen today, this is going to be plenty to get you to your cool camp spots, but when you start getting really articulated, there's not a lot of wheel travel, we start lifting tires a lot, and it's out of its element a little more quickly than I was expecting. This is not a super easy trail, but it's also not that hard for a conventional four-wheel drive. All right, we're scraping on something pretty good here. See if I can move whatever it is we're scraping on. Oh, it's in the middle. Dang it. Let me back up and move that stone. I am Iron Man! Wah! Now watch. Smooth as butter. Oh yeah. Little trail modifying there. All right, so we made it off the hard part of the trail. Now listen, this car is not intended to be a hardcore trail runner, and I think for those folks just looking to get to the cool campsites, the Trail Sport should have the capability to do that. But let's talk a little bit more about this car, what it's like to live with, and the design of it first and foremost. This looks really cool, and I love that Honda broke from the design tradition altogether with this vehicle. It doesn't look like a baby Ridgeline. This thing is square and chunky and kind of butch, and the Trail Sport is actually, according to Honda, I was just talking to their PR teams, making up the majority of the sales of the new Passport, which is cool. Now, coming around to the front of this car, the first thing you notice is this hood scoop, which is very cool, but very non-functional. So it's just kind of this black piece of plastic, but that's a cool way to differentiate this from a standard Passport. You got that huge Passport in the front end here. And then if you look down low here, you got red recovery points. And then underneath, a little bit of plastic. You go further back though, and it starts sounding like metal. So you got skid plates. Now this Trail Sport version has 18-inch wheels. They are painted wheels, so I do worry about the long-term durability of these, if they're actually going to hold up to rough use. And then of course you got the blacked out mirrors, you got the blacked out door handles, you got the roof rack up here, and then it's a very vertical tailgate in this thing with the chunky tail lights, Passport along back, and then our tow hitch back here. This vehicle is rated to tow 5,000 pounds. Hopping inside the Trail Sport. Now, there's a couple different Trail Sport versions. This one is the Trail Sport Elite, which means we got pretty much all the goodies, including this large and in charge panoramic sunroof. Now this car, pretty luxurious actually. It's also pretty expensive. This one runs about $54,000 for this Trail Sport Elite, but we got a 12.3-inch touchscreen display that's running the Google operating system. So if you want Google Maps, just click on that button there and you have access to Google Maps. It's pretty easy to use, and I really like that Honda uses colors in this display as well. So it's kind of vibrant. It's got some different little tiles here. It's all very easy to use and easy to understand. And thankfully, we still have a volume knob, but more importantly, below that, we have physical climate controls for temperature, for fan speed, for heat, for ventilation. All of that's going to be down there. Now we also have two USB-C charge ports here. We've got our wireless charging here, and then we've got the push button transmission, park, reverse, neutral, drive. A couple of cup holders here. Got our drive mode selector down here right by the push button, and then steering wheel leather wrapped with the orange stitching. We see orange stitching here on the bolsters, Trail Sport in the headrest, and then a 10.2-inch digital cockpit as well. So that's all gone digital in this vehicle. So folks, there you have it. Our first off-road test of the Honda Passport Trail Sport. We were able to get decently high up the mountain, and with a 2-inch lift, I love to see what this thing can do. So Honda, if you're listening, offer one as an HBD accessory, then send it out to us, and we'll be able to test it much farther because it's just a little too low to the ground. But it's got a lot of the right recipes here, right? Recovery points, skid plates, tires, a lot of that stuff we need. Just needs to be a little bit higher. Folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy, behind the camera Mary, and Gavin. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.